afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Miss Brianne, and welcome back to Book Talk Wednesdays with Miss Brianne. And this is the mini-series where I provide brief book talks on all the different graphic novels and easy readers that we here have to offer at the West Hampton Free Library, in hopes that we encourage you to visit us here at the library in order to check out these amazing books for yourself. Now, today's book talk features two easy reader twists on fairy tales. Now, the Tadpole Easy Reader series came up with these. They're called Fairytale Twists, and they are very, very interesting. I had a great time reading them. Because sometimes, here's the thing. It's always nice to read those classic fairy tales, but sometimes, and this may not be it for everybody, I'm just saying that right now, there are times where sometimes you may get a little bored with reading the same fairy tale over and over and over again. So it's nice to read these little twists on the fairy tales. It kind of makes it a little bit more exciting. At least that's in my experience anyway. But the two titles I'm going to share with you are part of the Tadpoles Fairytale Twists series. And the editor of the whole Tadpole series is Melanie Palmer. Let me see here. The editor of the Fairytale Twists is Crystal Sikkens. The notes to the adults for the series were done by Reagan Miller. The advisor of the series is Catherine Glavina. The designer for the series is Peter Scoulding. And the production coordinator, prepress technician, and print coordinator for the series is Margaret Amy Salter. Alright, with that being said, the book, the Fairytale Twists, the fairy tales that I'm going to talk about that have a twist today are Jack and the Beanstalk and Little Red Riding Hood. These are the fairy tale twists I'm going to talk about briefly today. So the books are Jack and the Bean Pie and Little Bad Riding Hood. Alright. Now, the author of Jack and the Bean Pie is Laura North. The illustrator is Mike Phillips. For Little Bad Riding Hood, the author is Julia Jarman, and the illustrator is Jane Cope. And both books are published by the Crabtree Publishing Company. Alright, with that said, both of these pretty much sort of follow along the story of their respective fairy tales. But there's a little bit of a spin on it. In the classic fairy tale Jack and the Beanstalk, in my opinion, it kind of portrays Jack as this lazy boy who doesn't really want to do a lot of work. And his family's poor. In this story, Jack and his family are poor, but he doesn't really show him as lazy here. It shows that Jack has a talent for making bean pies. And pretty much the story almost flows as it does in Jack and the Beanstalk, with a few different twists. I'll give you one. In the old story, Jack sells a cow for magic beans. In this, he gives away all of his bean pies for magic beans. And the story kind of goes from there, except the ending's a little bit different. I'm not going to give it away, though. And then we have Little Bad Riding Hood. In the original, Little Red Riding Hood's always a very sweet girl, always does what she's told, cares for her family members, especially her grandmother. This version of Little Red Riding Hood, not so much. This one is usually lazy and this one's lazy and very disobedient. But she still likes her grandmother, by the way. still does care for her grandmother, even though she doesn't really show it. And then also the story kind of follows along with how the original goes, but the way it happened, here, doesn't really happen in the original book. If you want to know what these twists are, read these books for yourself. Now, these texts are a little bit wordy, so it's not really that suitable for a very young elementary student to read on their own. So if your child wants to read these, parents, make sure you're on standby to help them out. But like the Tadpole series, they're very well illustrated. They're almost very true, even with their twists, to the original classic fairy tales that these books were written about. And overall, a good read. And personally, I found them extremely amusing. Alright, but even I give these two books 5 out of 5 stars. And I recommend it for early elementary students to read along with their parents, or for the upper elementary or the older reader who has gotten the hang of reading and wants a twist on a classic fairy tale. And this is Miss Brianne. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you soon.